Well, good evening, good evening, good evening to all you wisdom walkers out there, and those of you who are interested in the end of April astrology, which I'm so grateful to be able to be bringing to you here on May 1st, because, oh my God, the energy of the new moon that was in Taurus, and it seems like afterwards, it's just really heightened my sensitivity. So it's overwhelming. And I've had a couple of people that who also are spiritually conscious that have agreed with that and are going through a similar thing. But today was really, really challenging for me. Just feeling a lot of the pain and suffering of what's going on in the world, injustice, insanity, insecurity, all of that. And so I wasn't sure if I would be able to do a live stream. But as God and the universe would have it, one of my dear friends shared with me some wonderful results of some deep inner work that she had done earlier in the week. And it was such good, great news of how things things can shift in ways that we just could never imagine. And I found myself getting more grounded and getting more called into, okay, you can present this astrology so people have it before we get too much further into May, because that's going to be some interesting astrology too. So without further ado, let me share with you first some quotes for April from the wonderful Lena Stevens of the Power Path. April's energy, fate, fire, and finding your next move, she says. We have entered a new cycle that very much supports a reorganization of what is physical in our lives. The focus is on our relationship with the earth, how our ego personality engages with others, and how we manifest and create on the physical plane. All the lessons, karmic and otherwise, learned in the last 14 years, that's how long Neptune and Saturn have been in the sign of Pisces. This has given us a foundation of wisdom that we can now draw upon to create what is next. If you're still holding on to an old wound, a past resentment, anger, a disappointment in yourself or others, or any sense of failure, you need to release and leave it in the past. The window of karmic clearing is still wide open to support you during this transitional month. There's an opportunity for deep healing and the breaking of ancestral patterns that no longer serve. Amen to that. Really, really important. So for all of you cycle breakers out there, myself included, yeah, this has been a really, really powerful month, a powerful time. Yeah. I wanted to remind you also about this Pisces stellium. Last time I told you the meaning of it, which is, of course, all these planets, especially Neptune and Saturn, along with Venus and Mercury, plus the sun and the moon, were huddled there, especially, of course, during March, from February into March, but also in April. And yes, it does heighten those things associated with Pisces: spiritual and emotional connection, emotional healing, grounded spirituality, unbounded creativity, and imaginative thinking. But what I realized more completely today is about the zodiacal meaning of a Pisces stellium. And as it says here, the astrological wheel, the zodiac, contains 12 cosmic energetic portals. The zodiac begins with the cardinal fire energy of Aries, and it ends with the mutable water energy of Pisces. So when planets cluster in the Piscean part of the sky, they are completing their zodiacal cycle. The inner planets do this more frequently than the outer ones. But early in 2025, we have Neptune and Saturn, along with Venus, Mercury, and the moon and the sun, all letting go of the past. Yes. This stellium is expected to bring about a significant transitions and movements leading to new beginnings later in the year, especially for those with Pisces sun and or rising, like me. So I just want to say that if you have been feeling, as I have, so overly sensitive over these last several months, you know, it was back in 2011 when Neptune and Saturn would be shifting out of a cycle, and that would have been their Aquarian cycle. And then if you count back 14 years before that, it would have been like 1996. And that's when they would have been coming out of their Capricornian cycle. So you can think back to those years of 96, if you're holding up, or to 2011, to get a sense of the cyclical ending and the start of a new one. The Piscean cycle ending is, again, more amplified because Pisces is at the end of the zodiacal cycle. Yeah. So anything that you may think that's happening now that is a new beginning, it's not. It really is an ending. And we are going through these very powerful growing pains out of what we've known in the past. So I wanted to share that in hopes that it brings some solace and some hope to all of us for all of these incredibly painful and disturbing changes that are going on amongst human beings. Shay. So, of course, in March into April, we were in Aries season, but now, which happened on Saturday, April the 19th, we entered into the Taurus season. Woohoo! My great nephew is a Taurus, and so is my brother. And I want to do a quick shout out and say happy birthday to you, to my brother. He turned 70 today, which is very significant for anyone, but especially for people in our family. So again, happy birthday, Ralph. And here's the message. Happy birthday to the Taurus community. Taurus season is that time of the year when we slow down and reconnect with the beauty of nature. In the Northern Hemisphere, the flowers are blooming. Here in central Wisconsin, we haven't seen that yet, but it's coming. And the earth feels alive again. In the Southern Hemisphere, the crisp air and changing leaves remind us to savor the richness of the present moment. No matter where you are, this is a time to ground yourself and enjoy the beauty that surrounds us. And that's from Astro Butterfly, who lives in New Zealand. With retrograde season finally over, it's time to get grounded and return to Earth with the steady and stable energy of Taurus. In the coming weeks, we'll feel more patient and productive, though a bit stubborn as we work on rebuilding ourselves. So once again, happy Taurus season to all you Taurians out there. We need you. You're amazing. And thank you for being on the Earth plane at this time. Yes, especially in an Earth year. Yeah, really, really powerful. So then on Sunday, April 20th, which also happened to be Easter Sunday, we had three very powerful aspects. The first one is Venus in Pisces sextiling Uranus in Taurus. And this spontaneous aspect encouraged us to live life to the fullest. So if you hadn't made plans, hadn't made your move, what are you waiting for? Your dreams are yours for the taking, so go after them. So that was a really powerfully wonderful, upbeat sextile energy. Next, we had Mercury in Aries sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. Again, another flow energy. Your words can take you far today as this aspect cranks up your charm. Use this energy to win people over and elevate your relationships to the next level. And then last but not least, we did have a square, but it was Sun in Taurus squaring Mars in Leo. This high energy aspect can spark sudden events that push you to act. Take some risk, or you might find yourself stuck in the same old routine. So think back to Easter Sunday and See if any of this resonated with you. Ashe. Then on Monday, April 21st, we had a really, really powerful aspect, which is the Sun, Saturn conjuncting the North Node in Pisces. This is the highlight of April, one of the most important of the year for the simple reason that it happens rather rarely, about only once a decade. So when these two karmic forces meet on April 21st, it's quite a big deal, even more so now since this Saturn-North Node Conjunction is also tied into the larger Pisces stellium, which I was just talking about, as this one will feel deeply personal and fated. So again, with the Pisces stellium, right, the end of a cycle. This is the end of the cycle for Saturn, and joining the North Node, which is all about what? Yeah, our destiny, the things that we promise in our sacred contract. So saying that you completed one part of it, and now this new part is opening up. And here's some more of the message. The beauty of this Saturn North Node transit, from time to time, not always, it would be exhausting. The universe aligns in special ways to give us the opportunity to change the script and build a life on our own terms. The metaphor for the Saturn North Node conjunction in Pisces is, it ends with us. Now, It Ends With Us is a romantic novel and more recently a movie adaptation where a cycle of domestic abuse ends with the conscious decision of the protagonist to make different choices, break the cycle, and rewrite the narrative for the next generation. So back to that again, healing those ancestral wounds in April. Saturn is the planet of maturity and carving one's path. Saturn transits always call us to do better, adult up, and grow into the most capable, intentional versions of ourselves. And paired with the North Node, we now truly have an opportunity to rewrite the script. We no longer have to stay trapped in the loop of repetitions, inherited patterns, and unconscious conditioning. We can break the cycle. Yeah, really, really powerful. And this is from Astro Butterfly, and this next piece of information too, it's so poetic. At first I wasn't going to put it in because I thought, oh, that's enough, but you need to hear this poetry in this because it's just so beautiful. She says there's a higher karmic orchestration at play, a soul level invitation where Saturn and the North Node act like an architect and a compass, unlocking a deep message buried in the bones of our becoming. Something old and deeply embedded, perhaps as old as the soul itself, is slowly morphing, Pisces, into something else. Unfinished stories are being reinvented, and soul contracts are being rewritten. We are at the threshold between the alpha and the omega, a liminal zone where, whether you are aware of it or not, an entire mythos is rising from the depths. The Atlantis part of your psyche is stirring, awakened by memory, longing, and the need to finally move forward. Yes, and again, her website is www.astrobutterfly.com, and you go to our blog and get all of this wonderful information. But how powerful is that for us to be really, really getting it? And this is so important that we're living in a time to break through old patterns, old belief systems, old understandings, to break those cycles of abuse especially, and to step into a new earth. Yeah, very, very powerful. So let's jump now to Wednesday, April 23rd. And here we have the Sun in Taurus squaring Pluto in Aquarius. Interesting. It says the injustices in the world may weigh heavily today as this intense aspect exposes how power is wielded. If you're thinking of challenging authority, make sure you have a solid plan in place. And here at May 1st, I am still feeling this energy of injustices in the world. And then Thursday, April 24th, we had Venus retrograde conjuncting Saturn in Pisces again. This card I'm showing you right now is a reminder, because this is when it happened the second time. The first was in January. And during this time, this was about Venus giving an invitation to us to bring our subjective perceptions into tangible reality. She was retrograde at the time, and she was ready to make soul-aligned vows and have us do that. Venus now knows that in order to build a better tomorrow, she needs to make that commitment first. So now, here we are on the 24th. For the third time this year, we have Venus, our subjective lens, our values, preferences, likes and dislikes, and Saturn, the planet of structure and reality, conjuncting where? In Pisces. The previous conjunctions on January 19th and April 7th, when Venus was retrograde, were sobering aspects where your Venus may have brought a reality check and you may have been confronted with a hard truth. But this aspect is, ooh la la, the 24th, yeah. This idealistic aspect will have us in our feelings, daydreaming about the love we desire. However, instead of just reading and watching stories about romance, seek out ways to bring that love into your life. So again, really bringing that energy that it's okay for us to have love. It's okay for us to value ourselves enough to have love in our life. Yeah, really powerful. Now, on Friday, this past Friday, we had a really, really strong, powerful opposition between Mars in Leo and Pluto in Aquarius. As it says, not everyone is feeling the love today as stubborn individuals clash while trying to assert their will. Stay out of the drama by focusing on your own path and doing your own thing. And again, this is definitely what's happening on the earth plane, all of this tight energy that we are experiencing. Then last Sunday on the 27th, we had this super new moon in Taurus. And, you know, I got to say this, it's really only been for me since last year that I have been putting more emphasis on the new moons. When I first started doing astrology for self-mastery, I would leave the new moon out. I would just do things around the full moon. But it's very interesting how powerful the new moon energy has become. Somebody told me it's been several years for them, but for me it's been recent. And usually it's because the new moon is just a time to plant some seeds. It doesn't seem like there's anything, going on that could upset the apple cart or whatever. But now, oh yeah, this was pretty tight. This was some pretty intense energy. So here's what I have for you. This patient new moon encourages us to invest in the future as we plant seeds of our deepest wants and desires. Get ready to watch them grow. Nurture these dreams well, as good things come to those who wait. And that's the usual energy of a new moon. But this is an intense super new moon because it squares that Mars-Pluto opposition I just talked about. Yeah. The new moon in Taurus theme is time for a change. The new moon signals a new beginning. The foundations of our life, Taurus, will be tested. The question is, are these foundations a real, authentic expression of who we truly are? Because if not, then it's time for change. And much better to do it willingly, because what needs to happen will happen regardless. As Jung famously said, what is not made conscious will be experienced as fate. Something you've been resisting, perhaps because it felt safe or because it was too uncomfortable to question, is now up for renewal. Chances are given the prolonged Mars-Pluto tension in recent months, there's at least a part of you that knows that something needs to change. But this new moon doesn't have to feel like the Tower card in Tarot. We can use the tremendous force of Mars and Pluto to make the necessary changes deliberately. It will take courage, but on the other side is major relief and forward movement. And again, just more of that understanding that this tight energy does have a great purpose. Yeah, it's going to help us get out and onto what is next and new. And then finally, on the last day of April, we had Venus entering Aries again. Yeah, there's been a lot of Venus movement since the beginning of the years. And so for the second time in 2025, Venus will be roaming through the sign Aries from April 30th to June 6th. Venus is retrograde from March 1st to April 12th in the signs Aries and Pisces, had us backtracking on our romantic ideals. As the planet of love moves forward, we're processing our desires and feelings while relinquishing all that doesn't seem relevant to our lives. Amen to that. Yeah. Good stuff. So, my dears, there you have it. That is the astrology for this last part of April, which of course flows into May. And I will definitely come back and share with you the astrology for May. We have a full moon in Scorpio coming up on the 12th of May. But in the meantime, I hope that you are taking it easy. I hope that you are staying safe. I hope that you are staying sane. Nurture yourself, drink lots of fluids, take it easy, get lots of rest, especially if you're empathic like me, because this is quite a ride we're going through. And remember, too, that it really is growing pains. We are into a whole new realm, and things are going to get better. Yeah. Be well, be safe, and I will talk with you again very soon. Bye-bye now. You're welcome, Q.